Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you guys doing? Can you guys hear me? Let's confirm if you can hear me, because I can't hear anyone.
Yes, we can hear you. Everything is okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good, good. Good morning, Juliet. How are you? So you guys can hear me on YouTube too. Oh, sorry. I always say good morning. Good evening. Okay, cool. Um, all right. Cool. Let's start. So today, I think for this Terraform module series, I'm not going to, and I have to say I do apologize for last week. Um, Since some of this stuff is the first time I'm introducing you guys to it, it might be the first time you're working on it. It's probably not good to load everything on you. Although I do want to cover as much as I can cover, but I think we are making good time now that we can spend. We can just take our time to, because I want to take the time so that to make sure you guys understand how the whole Terraform and Terraform module stuff works and not just cover it just to cover it. And you guys are still struggling with it. So with the Terraform module, the good thing is it's pretty much a continuation of what we've already done. So with the Terraform module, I'm not going to cover how to write Terraform syntax because we already did it in the first Terraform project. So with the Terraform module, we are just going to focus on just strictly the Terraform module part of it, even though the syntax is also part of it. But what I mean is I'm not going to give you guys a new reference file that we will fill the values in. For example, when we create the VPC today, we're not going to start from scratch. We'll just use the VPC file we already have from the previous project, and I will show you guys how to turn that into a module. So, and also today, we won't probably be doing today, definitely not the 4 hours because I have this bump under my eye that I want to get checked. My eyes is kind of like swollen, so want to get that checked. And also, I want to just take the time to go through each of the modules so that you guys understand it. So maybe, um, not maybe today we'll create the VPC and the NAT gateway. And I think with with those two, you will have a lot of questions because this will be the first time you are seeing Terraform module this way, and this is how it would be set up at work. So you will have a lot of questions. All right. Before we start, does anyone have any question? Okay, cool. Let me share my screen here. Someone has a question?
No, it's just some troubleshooting thing, but if you want us to do it after the class, then I can. We can do it. But I wanted to share some.
Troubleshooting on what, Terraform or something else?
No, not on Terraform. On the Kubernetes, project we did, where with the namespace, because when I ran the script, the Kubernetes script, I was doing it again. But then that part I wouldn't get through because it says the namespace was not found. So I kind of checked the YAML deployment thing, but I mean, I just couldn't see where the problem, like how to get that problem solved. So
Okay, yeah, we can do it after. Okay. What am I trying to do here? Just give me a second, guys. I'm trying to open some stuff and all right. Let me share my screen. For our project, I'm going to open our project folder. So that will be in my C drive. So open folder, C drive, users, yeah, AWS project. So there's some stuff we did last week that I kind of want to clean up. All right. So here we have the regular Terraform, right? And in that Terraform, you should have pretty much that's the one we completed, right? So let's take that as the Terraform project we've done so far. This one that I created, if you guys created this with me, the one with the Terraform module, I'm just going to delete it for now. Or maybe what I can do is just move it somewhere. Because we're going to do just a second. This project. This Terraform one, I'm going to cut it out of here. And I'm going to paste it on my desktop. And I'm going to, where is it? Okay. All right. Second. Changing forever to load. On there. Okay. Second. All right. Share again. Cool. And here. Okay. So I end up just removing the Terraform module one that I created here. So this would just be the regular, just like the regular Terraform project we completed. So far, your AWS project directory should have the Docker, EKS, Terraform. Then now we'll have Terraform module. So we'll recreate it, but I don't want all the files we have in there. So that's how it should look. All right, let's start. So the first thing we're going to do is what I was telling you guys last week is that Terraform module is kind of like.
Hello, Azeez, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning
Good morning.
to everyone. Azeez, I completed the previous project yesterday, and I can honestly say that I am learning Terraform by hands, doing very well. Before that, I just watched the tutorials and just tutorial hell, only tutorial hell. But now I am getting hands-on and improving my skills, and can see I am uh, uh, you can say I am getting hands-on, just like you can understand that.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah. So do you have a question on
just giving the feedback.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you are learning. So, and that's how it is with with Terraform. Honestly, is nothing. There's nothing difficult about it because um the syntax is given to you in the documentation. All you have to do is just work the logic in it. So if you are someone that can connect the dots with between things, once you start spending enough time with Terraform, you will understand it. So
Yes, yes,
with Terraform, it's just a matter of spending time with it. So I'm glad that everything is making sense to you now.
yes, yes.
So what we are doing today is we are just going to continue on the Terraform series. So the first way I showed you is if you want to deploy Terraform, and the way we deploy Terraform is all of our code is in one directory, right? So that's how we are deploying Terraform. In today's class, we will start Terraform module, and this time we would deploy Terraform using Terraform module. So instead of putting all of our code in the same directory like this, we would have them in different directories. So that way we can pick and choose which one we want to create. So you
Uh,
guys will see.
can you describe the what is the difference between Terraform or Terraform module?
So Terraform, Terraform is Terraform, but when we say Terraform module, it's just a way you can structure your Terraform code so that you can reuse it. So
Oh,
you see how we have our code in all this in this directory, right?
yes,
You know that when we run Terraform, we have to open this directory, then we run our Terraform code, right?
right.
So when we open this directory and we run our Terraform code, when you run Terraform apply, it is going to create every single resources you have in this directory. So that means it will create the VPC, the NAT gateway, the EC2 auto scaling group. So any file it finds in this directory, that's what it is going to create.
Okay,
So with the Terraform module, you will see that, let's say you want to just create the VPC and you don't want to create the NAT gateway or the auto scaling group, right? That's one of the reasons why you use Terraform module, because with what you will see today, you will see that instead of putting all of our files in this one directory, we will put our files in separate directories. Then we can now call those directories with Terraform module to say, for example, when we create the VPC, we can now call that module to say, we only want to create the VPC or you only want to create EC2. So that's different. So Terraform modules allows you to reuse your code over and over and over and over again. So once we start, it will make sense. So just keep that in mind now. And once we start, I'm sure you will understand and you'll have more questions then.
okay, okay.
All right, go. So good morning, Wisdom. How are you? Sorry, I didn't say your good morning. I wasn't ignoring you. All right. So this is our project directory. Now, the first thing we are going to do is we will create I've just decided for the repository that we will use for Terraform module. We are just going to create it. We are just going to, or am I just opening random things? For the repository we are going to use, we are just going to create a new one for Terraform module because I want to show you guys how it is properly done. So this is the only one that is not going to be in our, this is not going to be, it's not going to be in our AWS project repository. It will be in a different one. So the first thing we are going to do is create a repository for the Terraform module. So in your GitHub repository, I want you guys to, in your GitHub account, I want you guys to create a new repository. So this is my GitHub account I'm using for this project. You can see the AWS project is here. I'm going to create a new repository in this account. So here, click new to create a new repository. And here, let's call it Terraform module. Or you can either call it module or Terraform module, but it's probably better to call it Terraform module. So that way, when you are looking at it in the future, you know what it is. So no, let's call it module. So I'm just going to call it module. Why am I going back and forth with that now? So let me think about it real quick. Let's call it module, because then in your regular project folder, we're going to name that folder Terraform module. So for this one, let's just call it module. So call it module. Right. And for the description, maybe under the description, you can put, you can say, you can now put a description. So I'll just say Terraform. So I can now just put a description, then I'll just call it Terraform modules. Right. So once you enter that, under configuration, it is going to be a private repository. And under README, turn this on. So it will create a README file. So that way it won't be an empty repository. And once you've done that, we are not going to add a git ignore because we already have one in our repository. So this is all you need, and click create repository. So once you create the repository, you should have a module, and it is empty for now. So the next thing we would do is clone this module on our computer. So remember, we already set up our SSH keys and all that stuff. So to clone this module, you're going to select code here and make sure you are on the SSH tab, because that is how we've set up to clone our GitHub repository. Make sure you are on SSH, then click this box to copy it. So once you copy, open your terminal. Once you copy, open the terminal on your computer. So on Windows, I'm opening PowerShell. Then here, we are going to first change to the directory where you want to clone the repository to. So for our project, I've been cloning it into the home directory of my computer because that's where the AWS project is. So that is where my terminal is currently open to. So I'll just clone there. So here, I'm going to type git clone and paste that repository address there and press enter. So We have successfully cloned it. If I type ls just to show you, you can see in my home directory, I have cloned the module, which is here. And I'm just going to close that, and I can also show you. So if I go to my C drive here, and you can see the modules folder is there. So in this folder, this is where we will upload all of our, this is where we will create all of our Terraform modules, right? So the next thing we can do is open it in Visual Studio Code. So we already have this open in Visual Studio Code. This is fine. So remember, this is our regular project. This is the regular project one. So if you want to open another Visual Studio Code, another window, right, you can right click on the icon for Visual Studio Code. And here you'll see open, you'll see new window, and you can select it. That's going to open it for you. So that's how you can open another window. So basically all I did is just open another window, right? Then in the new window, I'm going to open the modules folder that we just cloned. So I'm going to select File, Open Folder, then browse to where I cloned it, which is on my C drive. I'm going to go to my C drive, Users, my name, and here I'll look for the module, which is here. I should probably have named it modules, but anyway. You know what? I'm going to let me see something. So sometimes I'm picky like that. Let me see something. I think I can rename this. So if you select the repository settings, yeah, you can rename your repository. So let's say you create a repository, right? Here in your AWS account, you create a repository and you accidentally do something with the name, you can rename it. So yeah, all you have to do is select the repository, then click settings. You'll see it here. You can rename it. So I'm just going to click rename, and I'll just add an S there. Then scroll down. I think that's all I need to do. And I can click out, and that's going to rename it. The other thing about doing that is I'll have to clone my repository again. So refresh here. Let me see. That didn't rename. Name. Okay. Name of the repository. I don't know why it's saying it can be changed, but normally you can always rename it. Okay. Or maybe I need to type the S first, then I'll click rename. Okay. So you have to, so once you go in it, you have to first type the name you want to rename, then click rename. That's when it will rename it for you. So if I come back here, I've renamed it. So I'm going to go to that module again and copy the new SSH clone. I'm just going to clone it on my computer. So make sure you delete the other one if you've already cloned it. So here, I'm just going to clone it again. Git clone and paste it here. Press enter. Okay, so I've cloned it. You can see it here. So now I'm going to open it in Visual Studio Code. Like this. So in Visual Studio Code, again, in the new window, you just open, let me make this full screen so you can see. I'm going to select File, Open Folder, then browse to the location of that folder. It is here, modules. I'm going to open folder. Select it and click open folder. So we're going to open it here. So that's the first thing we are going to do. Once we open it, right, this is where we will store all of our Terraform modules. So instead of, just like in the other project where we have all the files in one directory, now we are going to separate all those files. So each resource will have its own individual directory. So the first one we'll create is the VPC, because obviously that's the first thing we start with. So here we are going to, in your modules directory, we are going to right click here and click new folder. Call that folder VPC. Then once you give it a name, VPC, click out. Then in this VPC folder, we are going to create 3 files. So right click on this VPC folder and click new file. The first file we are going to create is called main.tf. So type main.tf. Then press enter. The second file we are going to create is for the variables. So for that one, we would right click on the VPC folder again, create new file and call it variables with an s.tf and press enter. And the third file we will create is outputs.tf. So the right click here and new file and call it outputs.tf. Those are the 3 files we need. So the main.tf file, that's the file that will contain your VPC code. The variables will be whatever variables you have in that VPC code. And the output is the values you want to export out of the VPC. And you guys will see. So this is what we have now. So the next thing we are going to do is let's create our VPC code. So I'm going to just dock this side by side here. So on the left side here, I have the previous project we completed, the previous Terraform project we completed, right, with all of our code. On the right side here, I have the module we just created. So first, make sure you are in the main.tf file. Click the main.tf file. And in the main.tf file, once you are there, in this left one, I'm going to click on the VPC file. So the VPC file is right here. Going to open it. I'm just going to close this so you guys can see. This is the VPC file. Then I'm going to copy pretty much everything here. So I'll select Ctrl-A and press Ctrl-C to copy. Or once you select everything, you can just copy. Then in your modules folder, right, in the main.tf file, paste that VPC code in there. So that's all we've done for now. We've just copy our VPC code here and paste it here. So basically what we did here, I'm showing you guys how to now turn it into a module. So this first one was just to teach you guys how to write the syntax. So now we are turning it into a module. So once you paste it here, that's all we need to do for now. Then the next thing we will do is on this left one, we also have a variables.tf file for the VPC. So you need to go in that file. Then let's copy all the variables for the VPC. So first start at the environment and select everything all the way down to line 57, which is where the private data subnet is a two-sided block. So pretty much you want to copy the environment because we are going to need that, and the VPC variables, because this is the only, for the VPC, this is the only variables we created for it. So that's the only thing you need in your VPC module. So that's part of when I was naming it, I was putting the comment there so you guys can see what belongs to what. So I'm going to select the VPC variables, copy it. Then in my variables.tf file, I'm going to paste it here. Sorry. So in my variables.tf file, I'm going to paste it here. And that's really all we need to do for now. So I'm going to just minimize this and we are back to our module. So in our module now, you should have in your main.tf file all your VPC code from the last project, and in the variables.tf file, you should have all the variables for the VPC and also the environment variables where we are just entering our region, project name, and so on. So make sure you save the file. I'm going to click Save All. And the next file we are going to create is the outputs file, right? And this output file is in our VPC, right? Once we create this VPC, remember I said like any resource in AWS has attributes, things like AY. To join, I can send you. I'll post the link here. So people that are watching they are watching on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel, AOS Notes, you will see it there. You can join from there. So basically like what I was saying. So remember, any resource we create in AWS has an attribute, things like VPC ID, subnet ID, ARN, those things. In Terraform modules, that is when those things becomes more important, because when we did it in the first project, we were referencing those attributes, but because the resources you are creating are all in the same directory, you can directly reference them. But now that we are separating the VPC module, right? Any attribute this VPC is going to have that we are going to need later on, because you guys know, for example, when we create the NAT gateway in the first project, and we need to create our NAT gateway in a subnet, we were referencing that subnet ID by the subnet resource type and the reference name. We can do it that way because the NAT gateway file, just to show you guys what I mean, right? In the first project we did, right? All of our files are in the same directory. So when you run Terraform apply from here, Terraform can see everything, every resource that are here. So that's why when we created the VPC, right, here, then we now created the NAT gateway. Where's the NAT gateway? We created the NAT gateway, and in our NAT gateway, we need to create, for example, when we create the NAT gateway here, we need to create the NAT gateway in a subnet, right? And we reference the subnet here. We said we want to create it in the public subnet EZ1. We can reference the subnet by the resource type and the reference name. This is possible because the subnet is in the same directory we are running Terraform from. So Terraform can see everything. So when you type the resource type and reference name here, Terraform knows where to go look for it because everything is in the same directory here. Hope that makes sense. But in the case of Terraform module, we have now separate the VPC from the rest of the resource. So now when we go and create the NAT gateway, as you guys will see next, VPC is not going to be able to VPC is not going to be able to see the attribute of that NAT gateway. And that NAT gateway is not going to be able to see the attribute of the VPC. You understand? Because you can just now say when you create the NAT gateway, I want to reference the VPC's resource type, the public subnet EZ1 ID. It's not going to work that way because now they are separated. The way you have to do it is when you create your VPC resource, you have to export the values of your subnet, VPC ID, anything you feel like you will need later on to reference, you have to export it out of that VPC. That is what the output file is for. The output file, you will use it to export it out. Then you can now import those values into other resources when you create them. So you guys hold on to that. It's very important. It's one of the main things of the Terraform modules you guys should not forget. So that's what we are using this output for. So you can see in our VPC file, the resources is still the same. We are not changing anything here. The variables we created is still the same. Nothing is changing. We only need to export some values out of this VPC so that we can use them later on when we create other resources that would need them. Okay. So let's, for that reference file, I actually create the reference file for you guys. Let me send you guys the link to download it. So, so on here, and eventually by the time we are done with this project, I will have just the link, the assets for this project the same way I did it for the other projects. But for now, since I'm kind of still building it as we go, so I'll just provide the link as we go. So that's the link. It's the link to the Google Drive, and you guys will see 2 files there for now. So that's the link to the Google Drive. You'll see 2 files there. If I click that link to open it, this is what you guys will see. This is what you guys will see. So the first one, the one we want to reference now is the VPC outputs.tf. So you can select it and download it to your computer because you won't be able to see it on Google. Once you download it, open the folder here. And if you double click here, you can open it. So these are the outputs we are going to export out of our VPC, right? So once you open that VPC output, I want you to select everything in here, then copy it. Once you copy it, I'm going to go back to my outputs.tf file in my module and paste it there. So once you paste it there, I'm going to scroll up here and save your file. All right. All right. So far, so good. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, cool. So the next thing we are going to do is we just need to enter. So how an output work is, I kind of explained it last week. It is, let me see. Can you guys see my screen better or should I make it bigger? Is this one better or sometimes when I make it bigger like
This
that.
one is better.
This one?
No, this one, that one.
This one? Okay. All right. All right. So in the outputs.tf file, I explained it briefly last week that these are things you want to export. And to create the syntax for your output, all you have to do is you would first type output, right? Then you will give the output a name. You can call it any name you want, but the rule is that to make it easy on yourself and for other people looking at your code is just name the output what you are trying to export out. So since for this output, the output I'm trying to export out of my project is the region, that is why I named it region. And here we just, so anything here, the only thing that is important here is the value. Any other thing, the description is optional. You can still create the output without having the description in there. But I put the description for you guys so that you guys can know, okay, this output is meant to export my region. So this output is going to export the region. This output is going to export the project name, right? This output is going to export the environment. The structure is the same for all of them. This output is going to export our VPC CIDR, right? One thing that you guys should know is that I gave it the name, so you can call it any name you want. So here you can see since I'm trying to export the CIDR block of my VPC, that is why I named it VPC underscore CIDR. This output is going to export the ID of my VPC. So you can see I made that name up, VPC ID. So pretty much whatever you are trying to export, you make the name as descriptive as that. So that's pretty much how this output is set up. And we'll go through them one by one. First, let's start at the top with the region. We are trying to export our region, right? And I'll show you guys something. Let me just put the variables here so you guys can see clearly. On the left side, this is the output. So for this output, we want to reference our region. So basically, for the value, that would be where the region was created in your VPC. So when we create our VPC, you can see the region here, we created it as an environment variable. So that is why here we have to now enter the value as var region, right? Var, the name of the variable, which is this region. So this means that when we are exporting this output, whatever value we end up putting for our region for the VPC, that is what it would also export out for us. So that's all that means. So the same next one is project name. It will be the same thing. Whatever value we end up entering for the project name, that's what we are going to export here. So we are going to just type var project name. So you guys don't I named it the same thing because that's what I'm exporting. So that's why I named it. But this var project name is coming from here, from the variables file. So let me just copy and paste it so you guys can see exactly where it is coming from. var project name. The next one is environment, right? And we created it as a variable here. So that means it would be var dot environment. So you can copy it from here and paste it here. The next one is the VPC CIDR block, right? And for that, let's open, I'm just going to save off for now. So for that, you are going to open your VPC file, which is your main.tf, right? So here, I'm just going to select in here and open the main.tf. So let me close that, right? So we want to export the CIDR block of our VPC, right? So remember, okay, The VPC CIDR block, you can see here, the VPC CIDR block, we created a variable for it. So we are entering it as a variable, and you can also even see it in the you can also see it in the VPC, in the variables file. We have a VPC CIDR here. Another thing that I don't see here is the exporting is the project name. Well, we don't need to. So we have a project name here. So yeah, so the thing about it is, like, you can see in our variables here, we have a bunch of different variables, but I didn't export the project name because I don't need it. So the only thing you will export in your output is things that you feel you will need later on. So here we are on the next output, which is the VPC CIDR, and we also created that as a variable. So when we reference it, we can just say var dot the name of the variable, which is, we call it VPC CIDR. So that means anytime we create the VPC, whatever we entered for the CIDR block, that is what it would export out as the value. The next one is the VPC ID. So remember, the VPC ID is here in the VPC resource. We haven't created that VPC, so we don't know what the ID would be. So here we are trying to export the ID of the VPC. So that would be the same way you were doing it in the other project. It will be the resource type and the reference name. So copy it, the resource type and the reference name. That's what you will paste here. Then you remove the quote, add a period, then come to the end, add another period and type ID. So now you guys are seeing like different ways to export different things. If what you are trying to export is a variable, then you reference that variable. If what you are trying to export is a resource that is being created, then you will reference it the same way. For example, here we want to export the ID of the VPC. So we have to enter it as the resource type, the reference name, dot the attribute, which is the ID. So here we have to export our internet gateway, right? So for this one, we are exporting the internet gateway itself. So remember, we created the internet gateway in the VPC, right? So and mind you, this VPC I'm pointing to is the one in our main.tf. It's the same one as our previous project, the one in the main.tf, right? So we would just reference it the same name, the resource type, the reference name, copy it, and here we'll paste it here. Then remove the quotes between them, add a period. So for this, we don't need to reference any attributes, because for this one we are exporting the internet gateway itself. So this is how we will enter it. Then the next output is the public subnet AZ1 ID. You guys take note of this name. I made the name up myself. You can call it anything you want, but just make sure you call it what you are trying to do. So that way, when you look at it later on, you know what it is exporting, right? So I made that name up myself, the same way you make up your variable names, right? So for the value, public subnet AZ1 ID, remember that one, we also, in our variables file, we created it as a variable. So public subnet AZ1, no, sorry, we didn't create it as a variable. So I was thinking CIDR block there, but no. So we want to export the ID of our public subnet AZ1. So in our VPC file, which is in our main.tf file, right? If you scroll down to the section where you created your subnet, this is where we created our public subnet, right? AZ1. So all you have to do is copy the resource type and the reference name. Once you copy, you will paste it here, right? Then you remove the quotes, enter a period, then come all the way to the end, enter another period and type ID. So that's how you will export it. So whenever we create this subnet, whatever the ID is, it would export it out for us. We'll do the same thing for public subnet AZ2 ID, right? So this is where we created public subnet AZ2 in the VPC. We would copy the resource type and the reference name and paste it here. Then we would remove the quotes, add a period, then at the end, add another period and type ID. The next resource output we are going to export out is the private app subnet AZ1 ID. So we'll scroll down to where we created the private app subnets. So here we created the private app subnet. So copy the resource type and the reference name. Then we'll paste it here. Then we'll remove the quotes, add a period, then come to the end, add another period and type ID. So it's pretty much the same thing we're doing for the rest of them. So the next one we want to export is the private app subnet AZ2 ID. I made that name up, right? But the value is here, private app subnet AZ2, right? To copy the resource type, the reference name, and paste it here, right? You are going to remove the quotes, add a period, then at the end, the period and type ID. The next one is private data subnet AZ1 ID. So we created private data subnet AZ1 here. Copy the resource type and the reference name, then paste it here. Remove the quotes between them and replace it with a period, then come to the end, add another period and type ID. I will do the same thing with this one, private data subnet AZ2 ID. You want to export the value, which is here. This is where we created it. We'll copy the resource type and the reference name and paste it here. Then remove the quotes, replace it with a period, come to the end, add a period and type ID. The next output we are going to export is the availability zone 1 and availability zone 2. So remember, we have two availability zones we are using. We have two availability zones we are using, so we'll just export those availability zones because some resources we will create later on we will need to specify which availability zone. So that's why we are exporting it, right? So remember here in our VPC, this is where we created the availability zone. Somewhere here.
Can you scroll
Right.
a little bit up, please?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is where we export we are getting the information of our availability zone. So here we are going to copy it. Remember, anytime you are using data source, you have to copy the data with it. So it will be the data source, resource type, and the reference name. So copy it, paste it here. Then remove the quotes here. Add a period. Then do the same thing here. Add a period. Then at the end, we are going to pretty much reference it the same way we reference our availability zone in our VPC. So when we were creating the subnet, right, we reference it there. If you want, you could have just even copied from the subnet. You can see here, when we create public subnet AZ1, public subnet AZ2, that was created in availability zone AZ1, availability zone AZ2, which is what we are doing here. So the value here, you can just paste it here too. It will be the same. So here will be availability zones dot names right? Then there's a bracket, then we enter 0. 0 means that, just like I explained, this data source is getting the list of availability zones in your region. So it's going to get all the availability zones. In programming, when you have 0 in a bracket like that, this is called indexing. That means that when you get a list of something, if you put 0, you are saying, I want to select the first item on that list. If you put 1, you are saying you want to select the second item on that list. So that's what this is doing. So that's why our availability zone, once we get the list, 0 will select the first availability zone, and this with the 1 will select the second availability zone. So we'll paste that one here. So this is how we come up with all the values of things we want to export. So remember, I'm going to save the file. I'm going to close this. And we are done with the VPC module. So remember the VPC module, we have our VPC code. Then the variables.tf, we have the variables. Then in the outputs, these are things from the VPC we want to export out of the VPC. You can export as many things as you want, right? The things I'm exporting here are things I know we will need later on. And you guys will also have the question, how do you know? Yes, I don't have, I'm sorry, I was reading someone's comment. There's no, I haven't created the document for the project yet. So that's the only 2 files we have for now, because that's what we are creating now. So you guys may have, I have the question, how would you know what to export out of the VPC? In the beginning, you wouldn't know. When you start creating other modules, and those modules needs to reference something, that's when you will now realize, okay, for example, let's say we are creating the NAT gateway, and we now need to create a NAT gateway in a subnet. Then you will say, okay, I need to create this NAT gateway in the subnet, and that subnet is in the VPC module. So I need to go and export that subnet out of that VPC so I can use it in the NAT gateway. So in building your project is how you will realize what you need to export. So those things come as you build your project. Just like the things you create as a variable, those comes as you build your project. So that's the freedom you have as you work on your project. You have the flexibility to adjust things as you go. It's only because I've worked on this project, that's how I know what I need to export. All right, go ahead. Someone has a question.
Just want to recap, maybe I didn't catch it. You said that the module is for like to be able to duplicate resources to be able to build infrastructure or something. I just want to catch it. Why are we doing them? Why are we creating modules? I didn't get that part.
You use Terraform module to it allows you to reuse your code over and over and over and over again. And you guys will see once we are done. So what I said is this is the module, and you can see in the module here. First of all, one thing you guys should understand about Terraform is when we run Terraform, you guys know we have to go into the directory where our code is located, our Terraform code. Then when we open the terminal in that directory, we run Terraform apply. Terraform is going to create all the resources that is in there. So anything Terraform says in that directory, it will create it. Just like in our project, right? In our project, the previous way how we create Terraform. All the code is in this Nest app. So when we come into this directory to run Terraform apply, it is going to create everything here, right? So what if you want to create another application that requires you to create a VPC, the NAT gateway, but You don't need auto-scaling group for it. You understand? You can't just run it in this here, because if you run it in here, it will create every single thing that is here. So let's say the application you are trying to deploy needs VPC, NAT gateway, security group, but it don't need application load balancer. So that means you have to copy this code, paste it. You have to copy this, paste it, remove the code you don't need, and keep the ones you need to apply. But then what if you have 500 resources to 500 applications? So you just keep duplicating your codes over and over and over and over again. Are you following me, Mr. Wright?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that is what Terraform module eliminates. With Terraform module, I've created this VPC once, and I'm only going to create it once. What you are seeing here, I'm only creating it this one time. Now I can use this VPC code to create 500, 1,000 other VPCs from just this one code. You understand? So let's say with the way we created our code before, like this, let's say I tell you create 10 VPCs. How would you create the 10 VPCs? You understand?
Okay.
If I say create 10 VPCs, how would you create 10 VPCs? You would have to copy this, because if you run Terraform apply from here, it will only create whatever you specify here. So you can't use this to create 10 VPCs. So you would have to copy this code 10 times, right? You have to paste it. You have to copy 10 times, right? Then now go into each folder where you copy, then now change what is specific for that VPC you have to create. What if it's 500 VPCs? You have to copy this code 500 times. It just becomes from a maintenance standpoint, it just becomes a nightmare. You guys it's a little bit easier now because we're only working on one. Think of it as when you are working on 20 other infrastructures. Exactly. Exactly. Code craze, exactly. So it will become a nightmare fast. So that's the reason why we are using Terraform module. And I can show you guys in an example once we create it, right? So with Terraform module, this module we just created, right? This module, we can use it to create 500 VPC, 1,000 VPC without having to touch this code. And it will be this one code that is creating all of them. And those, with the way we wrote this code, those 500 to 1,000 VPCs can have different configuration. So, and you guys will see. So this is the first part of the module. We create the module. Now let's push this module to our GitHub repository, because this is very important, right?
So quick question. That VPC is a directory? It's a directory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it is. So
All right.
with Terraform module, everything is a directory.
Okay.
So in that directory, what you are trying to create is located in the directory. Just what you are trying to create.
And so basically it's an architecture where we started basically on the first time when you draw that architecture diagram. And now it's like you're separating the network frame from that architecture diagram, where like VPC has to do with the networking aspect. So all the information about networking for VPC, which like your private sub, where your public sub, where subnets, everything is just in there in one directory. So you can always reproduce if, like you said, you want VPC. then you have variable. Is that the? I'm trying to get a high.
Yes, correct. That's a way to look at it. So with Terraform module, you have the flexibility to do whatever you want to do. And what you're saying is exactly correct, right? So we created all the projects before. Now we are separating it to say, okay, you know what? I only want to create, if I only need to create the VPC, I only want to create the VPC. If I only need to create EC2, I only want to create the EC2, right? And it doesn't stop there. So let's say in this module, you are saying I want this module to create VPC, NAT gateway, and all that stuff. You can include the NAT gateway in this module, and that will also create everything together for you. You understand? So you have the flexibility to say how much stuff you want a module to create.
Got you. Thank you.
Yeah. So next, we will push this module to our repository, right? So here, so if you guys go in our reference file, right? So in Visual Studio Code, right? If you select this source control, and you now type here, you have to type a message. So if you in these changes, you have to type what you update. So we can say create VPC module. So if we say this, right, and click commit, then it will now allow us to push it, right? So this is the easiest way and the kind of like the fastest way you can do it in Visual Studio Code, right? You can type it here, commit and push, right? So I want you guys to get in a habit of doing it this way. Or what we can also do is if you open this directory in the integrated terminal, right? You can now type your git add, git commit, and git push. So in the reference file I gave you guys, those commands are there. So I always use the Visual Studio Code so much that I don't even remember. I kind of like vaguely remember. I mean, I do remember, but typing it, I don't feel as confident as I should, that I will always have to go and look at my notes, right? So let me show you guys. So in the, where's this thing now? So in our project, right? You know, you guys know the quick reference file I gave you guys, right? Yeah, there's the git command here. That's what I'm trying to explain. Let me just look for it. Okay, so here, right? So this is the basic Git workflow, right? So once you've made a changes to something and you need to push it, right? Git status will help you check the status of that repo, right? Git add with a period will add everything. Git commit -m, M stands for message. And the message you have to enter, okay, I updated this, I did that, whatever. It's just a very short message. If you type too long paragraph, it won't even let you push it. So message, then once you type the message, then you push, right? You are pushing from your local repository to the remote repository. So basically what I'm saying is like the process of typing all this, the process of doing this, typing this here, and clicking commit and pushing it is equivalent to if you type this. So you guys should know that. So when you are working on me, I'm so lazy that I always just use the one in my Visual Studio Code. Because it's faster, right? But while you're doing that, understand that the process is, because sometimes you might be working where you don't have the Visual Studio Code and you still need to understand that, okay, if you want to push it, you type your git add to add all the files you've changed, git commit with whatever message you want to add, and you push it. So understand that. So I just wanted to point that out. All right. So here, I'm just going to push it from Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to close this. I'll type my message there, create VPC module, click commit, yes, and sync changes will push it for you. So I've pushed it. Now, if I go to my, select them. I have so much tab open, I don't know which one. So if I go to my repository, this is the repository for the module here. I'm just going to refresh, and you can see my VPC module is now there. I can select it to open it. You can see the main.tf file, the output.tf file, and the variables.tf file. All right. So next, we are going to create this VPC. So now this will be the project that will use this VPC. So for that one, let's go to our regular AWS project. So our regular AWS project folder.
Good question. So the resources that you just pushed to the repository. Now, could you make changes in there since they've been pushed to that repository, to the GitHub repository? Could you make changes there if you wanted to?
In the repository itself, in the remote repository?
Yes, the remote repository.
Yes, you can make changes there, but it is not best practice to do that. It is not best practice to do that. So the main thing is because your repository, okay, good. That was a good question, right? So again, we're trying to simulate how things will be at work. This modules repository, you guys remember when we created this repository is a private repository. So you can see edit here. If I click edit this file, I can edit anything in here that I want, right? And I can now commit the change, right? But I'm not going to do that. The reason why you don't want to do that is because when you create your repository and you will have your code there, the code has already gone through like different review cycles that you know this is the code that works. So it is not best practice when you have 10, 15 engineers and everyone is just changing stuff from here. The proper method is you clone the repository on your computer like we did, and you make the changes there. At work, at this moment, when I push my changes back to the remote repository, I won't be able to push it to the master. So let's say this is the master. I won't be able to push my changes there until someone reviews it. Someone is going to review it, check maybe everything is right. They will provide feedback if they need to. Once everything is right, then they will approve it. Then that's when you can merge it into the master. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So the best practice is not to change anything in the remote. You would do that when you clone it on your own computer and make your changes there. But if you want to change it, yes. Short answer is yes. But should you? No. And another thing is like if I make changes here, right? Now my local repository would not be would be out of date with this one. So I'll have to pull the changes back to my local. So both of them, they kind of like see each other. You understand? So which is why when I push it, right? Here, when I push it, you can see nothing here, everything is this. So when you don't see anything like this, this means that your local is in sync with your remote. So now let's say I add something here, right? Let me not just do that. Let me just say, let's say I add something here like that. And something like that. And I save it, right? You can see the file now changed to M. The M is telling you just like there's something has been modified that is not updated in sync with the remote. So that's the whole point of GitHub, to just keep track of what is being changed. So by every change you make, you do that from your from your local repository. You don't do it from your remote. Okay, I'm not going to save that. All right, so we've pushed it. So the next thing we need to do is in our project, right? This is our AWS project. So in that AWS project, right click anywhere in that project and click new folder and call this folder Terraform module. Right. So once you call it Terraform module, you can go in there and in that folder again, the folder you just created, right click on it and create another folder in it. So I'll click new folder and I can call this folder the name of the application. So which is the application is Nest. I'll just call it Nest app. Right. Then in the Nest app folder, so on that Nest app folder I just created, you can see my mouse is on it. If you are creating any file or folder, whatever your mouse is on, that's what it will create the file in. So if you right click on the Terraform module, it will create the file in the Terraform module. So you want to make sure you are right clicking on the Nest app and create a new file in that Nest app folder. And they'll call this file main.tf, right? So that will be our main.tf file. Right click on the Nest app file again, the Nest app folder, and call this file backend providers. Let's create the provider. Call it providers.tf. And right click on that Nest app folder again and call this file backend. So we're going to right click on it, create a new file, call it backend.tf. So remember, this is now the application this is the infrastructure that will call the module, right? So let's just start with the providers.tf. So the providers.tf is how you are authenticating with AWS. So we've kind of done it here in this project. So we can just duplicate it here. So our providers.tf is just, we are deploying in AWS, the region, the profile on our computer we want to use, and this default tag. So you can copy pretty much your providers here from the previous project, and we will use it here. Right. So the only thing here is instead of using that as a variable, and I can show you guys how we can make that dynamic later on, but for now, let's just hard code it. So our region we are using is US East 1. So here we type US East 1, whatever your region is. Then for under the automation project name, we're also going to hard code that. We're also going to hard code this. And for this one, the name of the project is Nest. We'll call it Nest. And environment, we'll do the same thing. We'll call it dev. So that's our providers.tf file. So we'll save it. Then the same thing with the backend.tf file. We've created a backend file before in the previous project. So let's open that one. The backend file is here. So we'll just copy it for now, then we'll modify it. So I'd copy here. And let me just minimize this. Then I'll go to my Terraform modules backend here, paste it here. So this is just saying the S3 bucket we want to use for our state file, right? We'll use the same bucket. But remember I said in that bucket, you can create different folders for different state file for different project. So for the key, since this is Nest, right? And this project is going to be ECS. But with this Terraform module, we'll deploy ECS. In the previous one, we did EC2. With this module, we'll do ECS. So you can call this ECS. This is very important. Make sure you change the state file name, state file key here, because if you leave the same key as the one we copied from, you are just going to be overwriting that state. But you want, because that was a different project, so you want to leave that state file where it is. And here, you can name it anything you want. So use the Nest. You can call it Nest ECS Terraform module if you want. Right. So we could have even done Nest Terraform EC2, Nest Terraform module ECS. So, but I'll just name it this. So since this is ECS, or you know what, I can do Nest. So that way we are sure. Let's just do this. Let's just say Terraform module. Right. So it will be Nest, or we can even do it this way. Let's do it this way. Let's do Terraform module, right? Then Nest, the name of the application. Then the type of project we are deploying, ECS, then the state file. So that way, when it is creating the folder for us, it will create a folder in the S3 bucket called Terraform module. And in that folder, it will create a folder specific for the project called Nest. Then the type of application we are deploying, which is ECS project, then the state file will be in there. So that's what this means. The region will be US East 1. The state lock is the same thing, and the profile we are using on our computer to deploy is the same thing. So really, in this backend, the only thing you update is the key. So that way you separate it from the previous one, so you don't overwrite it. So let's save it. Right. So we've done the providers.tf and the backend.tf. And the fun part now is, let me minimize this so you guys don't get confused. In the main.tf, this is where we will now create the module that will call this the VPC module. So to create a module, let's start with a comment. We'll just say create VPC. So that way we know that's what that module is creating, VPC. Then to create a module, you start by typing module. Once you type module, you can select it here. So it will create the syntax for you. So you start with module. Did I minimize this? It looks smaller, right? Or is it? Okay. I don't know why it keeps going small. Right. So module and the name of the module. Right. So this module we are trying to create is VPC. So we'll call it VPC. So once you give the module a name, then there's the bracket, open bracket, close bracket. In that bracket, there should be two. So index spacing, that two. So in here, the first thing you are going to enter is the source. So here, type source. Then you give it the value. So the value, the source is pointing to where the module you are trying to call is located, right? So that's what that source is doing. So remember, the module we are trying to call is in a GitHub repository. The module we are trying to call is in this GitHub repository. And is in this GitHub repository, and it's called VPC. So here, we are going to use this to copy it, right? So to do that, what we are going to do under the source is this. What we are going to do here is we are going to start by typing git and double colons like this. So this is like 2 of them. Then SSH, because that's the method we are using. Then colon again. Then double /. Then once you've done that, right, then we are going to go to our GitHub repository. I'm going to go to our GitHub repository, right, where the module is located, and make sure you're on the SSH tab, the same way you clone it. Click this box to copy it, right? Then come back to your file. No, I keep going to the wrong file. Go back to your file, paste it here, right? Then once you paste it there, we are going to now add a double /, just like that. Then, because this is going into the repository, and after the /, the module in the repository you want to point to is called VPC. That's the name of that directory. So here, that's what you type here, VPC. That is how you point to that module in that repository. Remember, is git /SSH, right? This, and I can paste this syntax in the chat so you guys just have the right format. So it'll pretty much be everything at the end, in the beginning up to here. So this part will come from your clone, SSH clone, then the double /. So let me paste it in the chat so you guys can save that somewhere. And here. That's the format. Don't use that, because if you use that, you will just be pointing to my repository. All right. So once we point to our you know what, this is even let's not do it this way. Let's do it this way. So so this is right, but what we can do is after this .com, I think here we have a it should be a /. So that's pointing to a directory. So instead of that colon, just change it to a /. So it will be git :SSH : double / git at github.com / then the name of your account / the repository you are trying to reference .git double / and the module. So this is the right one. And when we run it, if it fails, we'll just adjust it as we go. But this is the right one. Sorry, the second one is the right one. All right. So now once you point to the module, you're going to press enter. Then the next thing you're going to do is remember I said anytime you are pointing to a module, the easiest thing for you to do is you are pointing to this VPC module. Go into this VPC module, right? And there will be a variables file, right? So anything that is listed as variables in this VPC file, that is what you want to enter in your project. So here, this has a variables.tf file. So in our project, we have to list everything. The best way, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. So basically, you can copy this or you can type it. So whichever way is easier for you, right? So I'm just showing you guys, I'm going to copy this, right? Then I'm going to go back to my project. It really should go in there, but first I want to clean it up. So we can put it here for now so we can clean it up, right? So really what we need is just the name of the variables. So I'm going to this is going to be tedious, but I think this is like the fastest way to do it. So you can see I'm removing all the extra things. I mean, and you can type it, but I'm also showing you just where it comes from. So I'm just removing because all we need is the name of the variable. We don't need all the extra stuff. Oh, you know what? Instead of even me doing this way, let's just do it this way. So you remember I said that's what you need to do, the variable. So you can also see it this way. So if I dock this side by side, right? Remember I said here, this is my project. This is the module I'm calling. It has a variables file, right? So right under my source, I need to list everything. So I'm just going to type it out. So the first variable listed there is region. So I'm going to type region here. Or just copy it from here. Let's just do the copy pasting here. Copy region and paste it here. Right? And that will be equals to whatever your region is, US East 1 in double quote, US East 1. Then you press enter. The next one is project name. So you copy that variable name. You paste it here. Equals to project name is nest. Double quotes, right? Then you press enter again. The next variable is environment. You copy it. You paste it here. Equals dev, whatever you want it, right? Then press enter. The next environment variable is project directory. Right. So this is just a variable for where I'm putting my project. Remember, my project is in the Nest app here. So I'm just going to type Nest in quotes. Nest app. All right. Then enter. The next one is the VPC CIDR block. All right. So copy this. Right. And paste it here. And equals to whatever the CIDR block of your VPC is. So here we are using 10.0, 10.0.0.0/16, right? Then the next variable is public subnet is a one-sider. So copy it and paste it here, equals, then whatever the value is. So the value is going to be 10.0.0/24. All right. Then press enter again. And we'll do public subnet is a two-sided block. That's the next variable. So copy it, paste it here, equals to 10.0.1.0/24, right? Then we'll just keep going down the list. So the next one is Remember, it's every single variable that is listed in the modules you are calling. You have to now enter the values here. So that's what we are doing. So here we would now enter the CIDR block for that. So that will be 10.0.2.0/24. Right. Then press enter. We'll now do the same thing for private app subnet AZ2 CIDR variable. Copy it, paste it here, equals to 10.0. In double quotes, 10.0.3.0/24. We'll do the same thing with this. Copy. We'll paste it here. Equals to 10.0.4.0/24. Right. And we'll do the last one, which is this. So we'll paste it there. And equals. And that will be 10.0.5.0/24. Right? And that's all we need to do, right? So once you enter your VPC module right there, you're going to, I can close this variable. So main thing I'm pointing out to you is that this is the project calling the module. We are pointing to the module here. Whatever module you are pointing to, don't forget that whatever variable that module has, that's what you will list here, and you have to enter the value. So that's what our project looks like. So we'll save our file. Right? And another thing you guys can do is anytime your Terraform syntax is like this, you can, once you type everything, don't worry about sincere convo. Yes, I am. But once this is done and I'm starting the next one, yes. But you can sign up on the site now, because once I start the next one, I always just send the email to whoever has like an active membership. So yes, I am. So anytime your Terraform syntax is like this, don't worry about the format. Just type, get your thoughts together, type everything. Then if you now open the integrated terminal, so to apply this code, right? We can now right click. Remember, to run Terraform, you have to be in your project. So right click on any of this file, click open in integrated terminal, right? So if you want to format your Terraform code, you can type Terraform FMT for format. So if you type that Terraform FMT, press enter, it will format everything for you. So you don't have to. So it will format all the files if they are not formatted correctly. Then now all we need to do is Terraform init. Type Terraform init to initialize. So you guys know the point of Terraform initializing is Terraform will now go and download the module. So wherever module you are pointing to here, you can see here, Terraform downloaded the module and it stored it in this .terraform thing. So you can see in this .terraform modules, you can see the VPC is there, and you will see the VPC and the code is there. So the whole point of Terraform initializing, that is what it is doing. It will go and download the module and store it here. Then now when you apply, it knows how to go and look for what it needs to look for. So once we have initialized, now we'll now type Terraform apply. So you can see when we type in Terraform apply, it is showing us all the resources it will create, which is what is in the VPC. The VPC, the subnets, you can see a private app subnet EC2. So here it is saying it's going to create 11 resources. Do we want to apply? We'll type yes and press enter. So it is now creating it. We'll give it some time. And there you go. We have successfully created the VPC. So if I go into my AWS console and go to VPC, you can see here, I have the dev VPC, right? Here, I filter it by the dev VPC. You can see the subnets. So that's pretty much how that works, right? Do you guys have any question so far? So the question you guys have is now, if you need to create 10, 15, 20 VPCs, 100 VPCs, 1000 VPCs, the syntax will all look like this. All you have to do is just, you can even copy this folder, then just change the state of your backend file, and in the main, enter the CIDR block, because obviously if you are creating a different VPC, it might need a different CIDR block. So enter a different CIDR block. So one thing we could have even done in our naming, which I wasn't thinking about that when I was doing this, is like, we could even change the naming of our VPC and our resources, right, in the VPC module to have our project name. So that way, if we are creating multiple VPCs, they would just have different names. Because right now, I think the way I did it, I'm only using the environment. I'm only using the environment here because I'm only calling it, because you can see here, my subnets, my VPC is only dev VPC. So we could have called it dev nest VPC, dev shopwise VPC. So that way, when you are creating multiple codes, you can do that. When you are creating multiple infrastructure, you can do that. But for now, let's just focus on just the one, right? So that's how we create the VPC. Do you guys have any questions? So this is pretty much what Terraform module is. All right. So we've created the VPC. Now let's create the NAT gateway. That's all we'll do for today, because I want you guys to be able to just work on what we did today. Because some of you guys are still working on your regular Terraform, so I want you guys to have time to work on it. So we'll create the NAT gateway next, and I'll show you guys, because this VPC is the first one we are creating in our infrastructure. It's very straightforward. The NAT gateway needs to be created. We need to create the NAT gateway in this VPC. Because for example, when we are creating the NAT gateway, we have to create it in this VPC. So I'll show you guys how you can now reference, how the NAT gateway will reference this VPC and how everything connects together. And once you learn it for the NAT gateway, it's pretty much the same thing for all the rest of the resources we will create. It's the same logic. All right. So to create the NAT gateway module, we will go back into our modules directory. So where is it? Our modules directory, right? So here we have the VPC. So in this modules directory, you right click anywhere here and click new folder, then call that folder NAT gateway. Create a new folder, call the folder NAT gateway. Once you've given the folder a name, the same thing, we are going to right click on it, create 3 files. We'll create 3 files for now. If we don't need a file, we'll delete it later on. But for now, let's create 3 files. The first file is the main.tf file. I'll right click on it again and create another file. The second file is the variables.tf. And the third file is the outputs.tf. All right. So we have our main.tf, variables.tf, and outputs.tf. So all your modules, these are the 3 files they will have. Right. The main.tf file is the one that will contain our NAT gateway code. So let's go to our previous project where we created the NAT gateway, and we can just copy the NAT gateway code from there. So in this project,
Question.
yes.
Okay. So after provisioning all of the resources in this module, right? We saw the VPC in the console. Are we supposed to see like the application with a website, or after doing all of this provisioning, are we supposed to see a website, like the end users, like how we did other projects?
You mean when we're at the end of this project?
Yeah, at the end of this Terraform module that we're doing, like how
Yes.
we did.
Yes, we
Okay,
will see our application at the end. Yes.
okay.
Yes. So yeah, so here we are going to select the NAT gateway file, which is here, right? And I'm going to copy I'm going to copy that code and go to the modules file in the main.tf file, paste it there. Right. And don't mind if anything is not, if anything is here is failing for now, we'll fix it. Right. So once you paste it in here, another thing I want to change here is this resource. The way I ordered it here, I don't like it. So it's like private app subnet is the one, private data. So let's just, because I think for the sake of this module, it will be easier for you guys to follow. So all I did is I delete the second one and I will put it down here. So that way it reads private app subnet is the one, private app subnet is the two, private data subnet is the one, private data subnet is the two. So I just reordered it. That's all I did for now. So we are going to save this file. Then in the variables.tf file, our NAT gateway didn't have any variables, right? In the other one, but we still need it. How we will do variables now is let me close this, and I'm just going to I'm going to make it like this so you guys can see. So in this NAT gateway, we'll just go through the resources one at a time. And whatever needs to update, that's what we will update, right? So here we have the elastic IP. This is the resource creating the elastic IP. And for the tag, we have the environment EIP1, right? So we can still use this variable here. So this variable .environment you guys are seeing here, this is how this works. So this is coming from remember in our modules, in our VPC modules. So you guys can see in my VPC module, I'm opening the outputs.tf file. So you guys just follow the logic here. In my VPC module, the reason why this output.tfr are things that I exported from the VPC, but it is not all of it I'm going to need in my NAT gateway. I'm going to need some of it. It's not all of it. So that's why I'm not just going to use everything here. So I'm just going through my NAT gateway, and as I go, whatever I need from the output, that's what I'm going to use. So you can see in that output, we export from our VPC, we export environment, the value of environment, and I need it in here when I created the elastic IP to create the name. So that's why here you are seeing it. And when you use it in your NAT gateway, you will enter it as a variable. So that's why here you are seeing it as var environment. You guys understand? Because this output that I export from the VPC module, I want to use it in my NAT gateway. I'm going to use it as a variable. So that's why, that's how you do it. You use it as a variable. So here you just call it var environment. You understand? And you guys will see how everything connects. So when you do it here, you also have to do the same thing in your variables file. So that's where the second file that I gave you guys came from. So if you guys go to that Google Sheet file that I gave you guys, right? Oh, this one that has the variables. Select, open this one, download it and open it. So that's the variables we will need for the NAT gateway. But I'll explain how everything. So once you open it, this is it, right? Select everything here. So copy it and paste it in your variables file for the NAT gateway. I did copy. So paste it here. Right. So remember what I'm saying is that let's just go through this one at a time, then we would do the variables. So just keep in mind, this is the variables we are using for the NAT gateway module, right? But what I'm saying is that in the NAT gateway, you go through it. For this resource, we are using environment. So the environment we export out of the NAT gateway, the environment we export out of the VPC, is what we are now using here. So that way, whatever that value is when we specify it in the VPC, we are automatically going to be using the same thing for the NAT gateway. Hope that makes sense. So that's how this works. Then that's all we need to do for this resource. Then in the second resource, this is where we are creating our NAT gateway, right? So this is the resource type to create a NAT gateway. This is the reference name. The allocation ID is the elastic IP that we want to allocate, which is this elastic IP. So this is resource type and reference name, right? Here is the subnet we want to create this NAT gateway in. Remember, the subnet was created in the VPC, and we export the ID of the subnet here in the output of that VPC as public subnet AZ1 ID, right? So that is why in the NAT gateway, to reference it, whatever you export in the VPC, you will now reference it as a variable. So here you type var dot the name of the variable. So the name of that output. So remember the output we exported as public subnet AZ1 ID. So you copy that output name and you paste it here. And the tag is environment, right? We already did it here, so we don't have to do anything again, because since we already exported once, you are using it as a variable, right? So the same way you did it here is the same way you do it here. The next one is depend on internet gateway. So we are going to remove this, right? Remember, the internet gateway is in the VPC, and we export it out of the VPC, right? Which is here. We export it as internet gateway. So we have to now reference it in the NAT gateway as variable, var, the name of that export, which is this. Right, and that's all we need to do, and we are done with this resource. Then, let's keep going down. We are going to create a route table, right? The route table needs to be created in a VPC. So here is looking for the VPC ID. You can see this is white, you can't find it, right? Remember, we created the VPC in the VPC module, and we export the ID of the VPC as VPC ID in the VPC module's outputs, right? So to reference it here, we will have to reference it as var dot whatever name you export it as, which is VPC ID. So copy this here and paste it here. So route table CIDR block is the same. CIDR block is 0.0. The NAT gateway ID is here. We created the NAT gateway up here, so the reference is good. And the environment we already exported, and we are using as a variable here. That's good, right? So the next one is our subnet associations here. Is our subnet associations, right? So resource type to associate a subnet with a route table. Then the ID of the subnet we want to associate. So this is associating private app subnet EZ1, private app subnet EZ2, private data subnet EZ1, and private data subnet EZ2. Remember, we export their ID here. So if we go down here, you can see private app subnet EZ1 ID, private app subnet EZ2, private data subnet EZ1, and private data subnet EZ2. So here, since this is associating private app subnet EZ1, so we are going to remove this value. We'll enter it as a variable. We'll type var dot the output you export, right? That is exporting the ID, which is this private app subnet EZ1. You copy it and you paste it here. This is something is in the way, but I'm just going to press Ctrl V. Then the route table is the same because it's this, the route table is in the same file. So it's the route table we created here. So that's this resource type and reference name. That's what you are seeing here. So that one is fine. The only thing you will be entering as variable is anything that is not in your NAT gateway file that you are trying to import in from another module. So we'll do the same thing for the route table, private subnet EZ2 association. We need the subnet ID. Remember, we export the subnet ID here, private app subnet EZ2 ID. So we'll copy this and let's remove this here. And we type that as a var and paste it there. Private app subnet EZ2 ID. Then we'll do the same thing for the private app subnet EZ, private data subnet EZ1 subnet associations. Route table. So the private data subnet EZ1 and route table association, right? So here under subnet ID, we will remove this and we will enter it as var. The subnet ID is in the VPC, and we export it as private data subnet EZ1 ID. So we'll copy this, and here we'll enter it as a variable. Var. Something is always in the way. Paste it. Then we'll do the same thing for this one. With we're associating the private data subnet EZ2 with the route table. The subnet is in the VPC module, so we have to reference it by using variable, the type variable, right? Then whatever name you copy export out of it, you used to export it out of the VPC. That's what you reference here. So you use this private data subnet EC2 ID, and that's what you put here. And with that, you are done with the NAT gateway module, right? So here, first I'm going to save a file. So that is how that works, right? So we can now close this VPC output. Then the next thing we now need to do is, so once you do that, the next thing you now need to do is in your NAT gateway, remember you have variables here that the variable so you specify here is coming from your VPC outputs, right? You now also, when you list variables here, it's the same way with Terraform. Anytime you are using variable in your code, you have to properly add the variable in the variables file, right? So that's where the variables file comes from. And just a second, guys. So you can see, here, like I'm losing my voice. So you can see here, man.
Drink some water.
Yes, I need to, but I have to run downstairs, but it's fine. I just clear my throat. So you guys can see, first, let's backtrack, right? I told you once you're creating your NAT gateway, because now everything is building from the VPC. So once we now come to our NAT gateway, the first thing we create is the main.tf, right? We create main.tf. We just go through our resources one at a time. And things that needs to be created in the VPC, we have to now reference the VPC, which is like here we are just using environment. We are using the environment variable from our VPC to name our resources. So that's why it is coming from the VPC's outputs, because we export it there. But other things that are very apparent is like resources we created in the VPC, like the NAT gateway, the subnet, VPC ID. Those are now coming from the VPC's output. Because remember, these things, you have to export it out of the VPC. Then you will now, if wherever you need it, you will use it. So since in this NAT gateway, we need the VPC ID, we now reference that export from the VPC as variable VPC ID. So that's how this works. So once you are now done with your main.tf file, all you have to do here is type var. So you can do Control F and type var, right? So any variable you specify in this main.tf file, you now have to create a variables file for it and specify it there. Because remember, any variable in your code in Terraform, you have to have the proper variable for it. So that's where this variables file comes from. So if you review this variables file, you can see here in our, not this one, you can see here, if we start at the top in our main.tf file, we have a variable environment. That's what we have here. I only just created it for you guys because I'm adding the description so you guys can know where it is coming from, right? So you can see that's that. Then the next variable is public subnet EZ1 ID. And that's what we have here. Public subnet EZ1 ID. We already did the environment, right? The next variable here is internet gateway. That's what you are seeing here in the variables file, internet gateway. Then the next variable is VPC ID. That's what you are seeing here, VPC ID. I already did the environment. The next variable is private app subnet EZ1 ID. And that's what you are seeing here, private app subnet EZ1 ID. The next one is private app subnet EZ2 ID. And that's what you are seeing here, private app subnet EZ2 ID. And the next one is private data subnet EZ1 ID. That's what you're seeing here. Private data subnet EZ1 ID. And last one, private data subnet EZ2 ID. That's what you're seeing here. So I think this will help, right? So remember, we've created our VPC. We got that down. Then the variables, and I'm going to draw this on the screen. So when you guys are watching the videos, you can know where it's coming from. When we created our VPC, we export some values that we know we will need later on in the output file here. So now when we are creating the NAT gateway, which is this file you are seeing, any outputs we need from the VPC, we will enter it as variable. So things like variable, where you see variable environment is coming from the VPC's modules output. So whatever value you export it here is what you are referencing here. Same as internet gateway is coming from the output. VPC ID is coming from the output. I think when I draw it like this, when you guys are now watching the playback, you understand. So that's where that comes from. It's the name, exact name you used in the output. That's what you are now using to reference it in the NAT gateway as a variable. So once you have gone through your main.tf file for your NAT gateway, you've covered all your references and all that stuff, then you now create a variables file. Remember this? Remember this is coming from here. Coming from this file. So let's call that 1. That's the first thing you have to do. 1, 1. And once you are done with your file, you now have to enter this here in the variables.tf file in your thing, right? So this is this. So 2. So you now have to enter all the variables you've created in your thing. You now have to enter it here. So you can see, okay, I didn't do this one. So this one too. So you can see this here, this here, and this here, and so on. You guys get the gist. So this is 2, 2, 2. First, you have to do your main file, so that way you know what is going to be a variable. So once you know all the stuff that's going to be a variable, just go and create a variables file for it in your NAT gateway module, right? And when you create the variables for it, remember what I told you guys, you don't have to do all the stuff I'm doing. So because I'm teaching you guys, that's why I'm just even making it as detailed. This will work. So if you did a variable like this, in most cases, you'll see that work like this. This will also work. All you need is just the name of that variable. You don't have to put all the extra stuff in there. I only just did the extra stuff so you guys understand better. So with this, we are done with our NAT gateway module. Does anyone have any question? All right. So we are going to push it. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to type create NAT gateway module. Then commit, yes, and push. Okay. So now if I go to my repository here, go to my modules repository, you can see I have the NAT gateway there. If I select the NAT gateway, main.tf, output.tf, variables.tf, done. Right. So now the module is there. Now with our project, so we have the two modules now, VPC and NAT gateway, and our project is going to call it. Our project is going to call it, right? So for a project to call it, under this VPC module, you just create another module. So here, we can type a comment, create NAT gateway. Then, right under it, we'll start by typing module, right? Then you give the module a name. We'll call the module name NAT gateway. NAT gateway. So you can call it any name you want. So NAT gateway, right? Then remember the source, right? So to start with source, which is where your module is located. Since we've already done it here, we can just copy the same thing from here. So you can copy this one, copy this, because we know we did it right in that one, so we can. Something very annoying. Paste it here, right? But the only thing is, remember, we are pointing to the same repository, but our module in that repository is called, our module in that repository is called NAT gateway here. So if we go back to the repository, right, we are pointing to this repository, and in this repository, the module is called NAT gateway. The name of that folder or directory, however you want to call it, is called NAT gateway. So that is what we would enter here. Right. So once we point to that module, we'll now press enter. Remember what I said? Any module you are pointing to, let me dock it side by side. Remember what I said? Any module you are pointing to, whatever is in that variables for that module. So you can see here, we are pointing to the NAT gateway module. The NAT gateway module has a variables.tf file. You open it. Any variable that is listed there, that is what you will enter under the source. So for the source for the NAT gateway has an environment variable here. We'll just copy it from the NAT gateway module environment. We paste it here. Equals, right, dev. So you see this environment where we specify dev here, right? And we are specifying dev here. So for this environment again, what we can do is we can now say, right, because we already specified this environment in this VPC module, right? So now when you are referencing it here, you will now say module, right? Module represents this. Then you add a period dot, the name of the module, VPC. Dot what you are trying to reference from that module. We call it environment, right? Because remember when we export it, that's what we called it. So you now paste it in. So that's how you reference it. So remember we specified in the VPC module, right? We export it as environment. So when we are now this environment file in the NAT gateway here, We're not saying where's the environment going, where's the value coming from? The value is coming from the VPC module because that's where, and what we exported in the VPC module is environment. I know this part gets a little bit confusing, which is why I didn't want to overload you guys today. We'll do this NAT gateway and we'll be done for today. So you guys mess around with it, play with it, then ask as many questions as you want. Because I think this is the only part that you guys would say would have to like try to think through. But once you walk through it, you understand. So the same thing goes with, we'll now do the variable public subnet is a one ID, right? Public subnet is a one ID, right? We paste it here, equals to, remember the public subnet, it was created in the VPC module. So here we are going to type module, right? This module represents this dot, the name of the module we want to reference, VPC dot, the attribute, the output we export from that VPC, right? Which is the public subnet one. Public subnet is a one ID. So you can just paste it here. Right. So this is, so that's why we are using the same name as the output. So it's the same name that we use. But really, if you want to be technical where it's coming from, where you export it, which is public subnet is in one ID, right? That's where it's coming from. So copy it here and paste it here.
Hey Aziz, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, we are getting the values from the output of the VPC, right? But
Correct.
do we need to actually like import all these outputs in the NAT gateway module as well?
Do we need to export it out?
Yes, because you make the NAT gateway outputs.tf file, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So in the beginning, when I was when we are creating the file, I'm showing you guys which files we need to create. So when we are creating the module, we always start with those three files.
Yeah,
main.tf,
I got
yeah,
everything.
right?
But what variables or environment variables we need to declare in the outputs.tf file of NAT gateway?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because in
Yeah.
what, because because if I didn't create it in the beginning, I didn't want you guys to just get confused. So we created everything. But
Mm-hmm.
when you finally create the files and you are now working through the resources,
Yes.
some resources would have an output that will be referenced later on, some won't. In this case, NAT gateway don't have anything we would be referencing later on. So that's why we don't have any outputs for it.
For it. But later on we would be having it. That's why we made this file, right?
No, we will delete this file. So this
Okay.
output.tf file, so we can just delete it now. So in your module, the outputs.tf file for the NAT gateway, you can delete it. We don't really need it.
Okay. Everything we are referring it from the VPC more outputs.tf file.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
that's where those values are coming from.
Yes.
So
Thank
as
you.
we create the next resource, if those resources will be referenced in another
Mm-hmm.
resource, then we will export them.
Yes, sure. And
Okay.
if we want to add more environments or variables, then we are going to use only this output file that is in
From
the VPC. Yes.
So yeah, so if we need to add more variables, so for example, when we create the security groups, right?
Okay.
The security groups will be needed when we create like our EC2 and application load balancer. So in that security group module, we will have an output file that is exporting those IDs out.
Okay, but they would be. I'm a bit confused.
Okay.
Then then for the security groups,
Mm-hmm.
there would be another output file, right?
Yes.
Yes. And what, like whatever the resources are being exported would be in that specific output file for security groups,
Correct.
correct? So
Correct.
every module would be having its output file. This is
Correct.
intuitive, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. The
Thank
only
you.
time a module won't have an output file is if the resource
Yes.
won't be referenced later on. Like NAT gateway is just a NAT gateway. There is no other resource that's referenced in NAT
All
gateway.
right.
Yeah, so that's why we don't
Okay.
have one for NAT gateway.
Thank you so much, Aziz. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, yeah. So here we saying that in our NAT gateway variables, right? We've done the public subnet easy one ID. So the next one is internet gateway. So we'll copy the internet gateway here and paste it here, right? Then you type equals to, where's the internet gateway created? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Where's the internet gateway created? It's created in the VPC module. So you'd say module dot the name of the module, VPC dot how did we export it out of the VPC? We exported as NAT gateway. I mean, I keep saying NAT gateway, I'm sorry, internet gateway, which is pretty much the same name we are using. So you can copy this name, right? But really, the technical is in the VPC outputs, we export it as internet gateway. So that's what you are copying here. And you are pasting it here. Then let's do the next one. So the rest of them are pretty much the same.
Sorry,
Then
sorry to interrupt you. Just one thing is missing in your there's a spelling mistake. In public subnet easy one, it's module.vpc.public. So the P is missing, I think.
uh
In
well,
in in your file. Yes, yes, yes. If you come because the
let's
referencing, yes, the P is missing.
where
Uh
in this one here.
yeah, yeah. Move forward. Public subnet easy one is equal to module.vpc.pub.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. So that's why I like copy pasting. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So that's where they are coming from, right? So again, for the next one, right, you look at your variables file for the NAT gateway, right? We've done the internet gateway. The next one is the VPC ID. So what I always do is I just always put all the variables here first, and I'll go and fill the values later on. But I'm doing it one at a time so you guys can see. So yeah, I'll paste the VPC ID, right? Where's the VPC ID in the VPC module? So it will be module dot the name of the module, VPC, right? Dot how is the ID export out of the VPC, right? It is export as in the VPC module, right? In the VPC module, if you look at the output, it is export as VPC ID. So copy this and paste it here, right? The next one in the variables file, for the NAT gateway module is private app subnet is one. So let's just even copy this as a variable because all that back and forth. So we'll copy all this as a variable for now. I mean, we'll copy these variables down here. No, I don't mean to do that. Copy this, just enter equals to, copy this, enter, copy this. We'll copy this. All right. So once we've copied everything, right? So remember This is coming from the NAT gateways variable. Everything you list on that NAT gateway module has to be whatever is in the variables file. Then where the values will come from will just depend, right? Here is the private app subnet EZ1 ID. Where is it created? In the VPC module, and we export it in the VPC module in the outputs.tf file. So if we go here, right, in the outputs.tf file, private app subnet EZ1 ID. So you reference it like this. Module dot VPC, right, dot the name of that output in the VPC. Why? And the name of that output is private app subnet EZ1 ID. So we are using, that's why it's good to use the same name, so you know you don't get confused, right? Private app subnet EZ1 ID. But I'm only copying it from the VPC outputs to show you exactly where it is coming from. I'll paste it here, right? So it's the same thing for the private app subnet AZ2, right? It's coming from the VPC module. I'll copy this. I can paste it here. Private app subnet, but this one will be AZ2 because my naming convention is the same. So you can see here, private app subnet AZ2 is the same. Private app subnet AZ2. The next one is private data subnet AZ1 ID. So it's this one. So I'll copy this one. Then here it will be module dot VPC dot the name of that output in the VPC module. Then the last one, it will be module dot the name of the module VPC dot the output we exported at, which is private data subnet EZ2 ID. Copy and paste it here. And we are done with that module. So yeah. And that's what that will look like. So this is our NAT gateway. So we have our VPC. Remember the NAT gateway, there are certain things the NAT gateway needs that was created in the VPC module. We reference them in the main.tf file. And those are the things we are now listing here for the module to reference. So save your file. We are going to open this in integrated terminal. Then I'm going to type the Terraform FMT to format it. So that will format it like this for you correctly. Then you can now type Terraform init to download the module. So it has downloaded the module. You can see here, you downloaded the NAT gateway module. Then I'm going to type Terraform apply to apply. And here you can see the apply. You can see the only thing it is creating is the NAT gateway, Elastic IP. It's creating the NAT gateway. Elastic IP NAT gateway there, and the route table, and doing the associations, right? That's the only thing it's creating, 7 resources. Here, I'm going to type yes and press enter. It's creating it, we'll give it some time. And also, while that is creating, if you go in the management console, here, just going to refresh here. And select NAT gateways. You can see a NAT gateway is being created. Right. Route tables, you can see. It has to create the NAT gateway first before it creates the route table. So that's why we don't see the route table yet, but shortly the route table will be created. And let's see. So it's still creating it. Just give it some time. So in the meantime, do you guys have any question? No, I didn't send the email for project 6 yet, because this one we kind of building it as we go. But eventually I'll have the email for it. Most likely I'll send it this week with all the different files and the reference that we will need. But I didn't send an email. Because since like the Terraform module is kind of like a continuation from the regular Terraform we were doing. So you have to finish that Terraform project because we are using the same code from there. That's why I thought I didn't need a reference file. But I'll build one this week. I'll send it to you guys. So you guys will have it for next week. Yeah, John, please bear with me. I didn't check I'll definitely respond to you. Sincere Convo, whenever this is done. So I'm anticipating we should probably be done with this probably like by February. Sometime in February we should be done. So maybe I'll start the next one in March. Okay. So here, the NAT gateway has been created, the resource, everything applied. So I was kind of like showing you guys in the console, right? If I refresh here again, so you can see my private route table. If I select it, you can see the route and subnet associations. It is associated with the private app and private data subnet. And that is pretty much the NAT gateway module, right? So another beauty about this is if let's say, some things you guys will see at work is like, let's say a module was created, some resource was created and you don't need it anymore, but you don't need it anymore, right? For example, if I don't need this NAT gateway anymore, I can just select this NAT gateway module here and I can comment it out or delete it. So if I comment it out and delete it and save this file, then I now type Terraform, apply again. And you can see here, it is saying it is going to delete 7 resources, which is just the resources in the NAT gateway. And if I type yes, it is now deleting the NAT gateway. And I can go back to the console to show you. Here, if I select NAT gateway, you can see the NAT gateway is being deleted. So this is one of the importance of using Terraform module. You can really customize your code now to what you want to create and when you want to create it. It's not really, you are not going to be confined to the way we did this, where when we run our code, it is going to create everything that is here, and you can't pick and choose which one you want to create. And if you want to create other type of VPC or application, you have to duplicate this code multiple times. But if I want to create another resource, all I need to do is just create a main.tf file for that infrastructure and enter the value there. And I can use it to create as many resources as I want. All right, that's pretty much it for today. We'll stop here today. Something for you guys to dissect. Then next week we'll continue. So I'm thinking it'll probably take us multiple class to finish the module because I want you guys to understand it. Then we'll go from there. Do you guys have any questions? All right, on YouTube, do you guys have any questions? Do you guys understand? Juliet, do you understand? John, do you guys understand? Or is this still, is it confusing? Hello, Dylan. How are you?
Hello,
Yeah, hello.
Azeez.
Yes,
Uh,
I can hear you.
how long will it take to complete this project? Because the previous one took 3 weeks.
Yeah, so this should take the previous one, I think that one took 2 weeks. This should take, yeah, maybe 3 weeks, yeah. So this should take it shouldn't take more than 3 weeks. Because since I already explained the things that we need to do, right? So some of
And
the resources we'll create, we can probably create 3, 4 more resources in one class. And I especially it shouldn't take more than 3 weeks to complete.
more than 3 weeks.
Yeah, more than 3 weeks. So I'll probably say
So,
we probably won't finish it next week, but the week after we should be done.
okay, okay. Another question, uh, is it feasible to go for a Terraform Associate certification?
It depends. Do you feel you understand enough about Terraform to take on the exam?
No, I am planning to do it in March or April.
Okay, yeah. So it just depends on how your comfort level. If you, because you were the way you sounded earlier that you are confident that you are learning a lot. So I'll say give yourself time to at least go through the Terraform. Have you already registered the exam?
No, no, no. I am
You
just
haven't.
planning.
Okay, yeah. So I'll say give yourself time to finish the Terraform module.
Okay.
Then maybe give yourself like a couple of weeks to review some Terraform documentations, whatever resources that is out there on Terraform exam. Because I don't know what type of questions they will ask you on the exam, but I'm sure a lot of the things they will ask you, we've already covered here. Then just give yourself time. I'll say don't rush it. Wait till you are done with the module.
No, no.
And
This is my main question I am asking. Uh,
or
should I do the Terraform certification or should I go for AWS professional certification?
you're
Is it
saying
worth it?
it's just up to you. I mean, if you, I think it's good to do it. If you can do it, do it. But it will, I think it will look good on your resume. So if you want to do the certification, you can do it. It's just up to you. Well, you will need both. So if you're asking if you should do one or the other, you will need both.
I passed AWS Solutions Architect Associate on 26th of December.
Um, on the 26th
Oh,
of December.
oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, so are you planning on doing another one, right?
No, I'm just compare. I'm just trying to do one more certification uh, unrelated to AWS, like Terraform.
Oh yeah.
Or,
Yeah, Terraform is good. It's a good one. Terraform is a good one. Yeah. Terraform is a good one.
because it attracts the recruiters' attention on
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
So
it's good to have on your resume. It's good. I don't have it, but it's good to have in your resume.
yes, yes.
You won't go wrong from getting it. So
Yeah, someone advised me, like he was saying, that if I'm on the job market, um, a Terraform and a Kubernetes, I believe it's KCA Kubernetes certified administrator would draw a lot of attention to me as far as landing from recruiters and from job seekers. Even as a contractor, some of them might want that certification. It's not a demand, but that would give you a preference over people that don't have it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, the certifications are always good. It was a good addition to your resume, but I always say like the most important thing is the skill sets. If you have the skill sets, right, that's what would really help you in getting a job because that's what will prove that you know what you are doing. And in some cases, like my manager at my last company, he actually said he don't like when people have a bunch of certifications on their resume. Like if you have more than 2, he's just gonna throw your resume in the trash. That's what he said. Because to him, it's just been like you are trying to use certifications to, for him, having a bunch of certification doesn't mean you know how to do the work. So it just depends.
And
But I do agree that you can mix match them, right? If I was to do all my certifications again, I would probably do Terraform. I'll do AWS professional, one AWS level professional, and maybe the Kubernetes one, and that would be it. I wouldn't do more than that.
yeah, exactly. That's what they said. One AWS, one Terraform, and one Kubernetes if you're DevOps focused. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't do more than that. I agree.
I mean, if you like, if you're in the government realm, like where I am, you have to do security plus. Other
Yeah,
than
yeah,
any,
obviously. Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much up to you, but I think the Terraform one is good. You should do it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and that's it. I don't want to keep you guys longer than, because we got done earlier last week, but then we ended up spending 2 hours extra after that. So,
Yes. Yes.
okay, so that's pretty much it for today's class. You guys go through this Terraform. Okay, Samuel. Yeah, so Samuel, just go through it. You will understand it. Again, with thing with Terraform is you just spend more time with it. The more time you spend with it, the more uh uh um the more time you spend with it, the more you will understand it. So is it Obu? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, and I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Yeah, I apologize about that. I'll check my email and I'll respond to you. I'll respond to you. Please bear with me. Sorry about that. But all the same, if you just signed up now, I wouldn't recommend to like follow along with this class, but the videos are on the site for you to watch in the meantime. But I wouldn't recommend to follow along with this class because we're already on like project 6. So you'll probably just start with the next one. But I'll respond to you in the email. Okay, all right, thank you guys. So that's pretty much it for Terraform module. Enough Terraform module stuff for today. Okay, Juliet. Um, just you guys just review everything, then next week we'll continue. Where somewhere. Okay, Dylan, it's good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, okay. So that's it for Terraform module. Mr. Wright, you said you had like a question for Kubernetes stuff.
Troubleshooting stuff. So
Okay.
I can
All
share
right.
my screen and then
All right, sure. So let me just destroy this. Destroy. Oh, thank you, Juliet. I appreciate that. Yeah. I just have to go put something on it. I don't know. I just woke up and it's swollen for some reason. That's the first time that is happening. Thank you. I appreciate that. But did you understand the Terraform module stuff? Or was this one confusing too? All right. I'm done here. So we are pretty much done for Terraform module today. I'm just helping someone troubleshoot. So if you guys want to drop, you are more than welcome to. We are pretty much done for today. And for the rest of the meaning of the class until we finish. Okay, good. I'm glad you understand it, Juliet. Yeah. It's just a matter of spending time with it. Once you spend time with it, you'll understand it. For the rest of the remaining of the duration of this program, I'll try to be keeping everything within what we can do in 2 to 2.5 hours. So it won't just be a whole bunch of stuff. All right. Let me stop sharing. And I'm going to stop recording here too.
Thank you, Aziz.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
True.
So this is what I wanted to show you. So here, that's the Kubernetes project, right? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. So I ran this command here where it says create IN service account with secrets manager access policy. So I did all of that here. But now, if you look here on 119, the Qt get pulse. So look here. No resources found in .NET EKS namespace.
So did you create your namespace before?
Um, let's go to the deployment.
So go in your deployment, wherever you have your namespace, it should match, right? That should match.
Here is it.
Right, doc nest EKS namespace. Right, doc EKS namespace. Right. So now go in your deployment script. In your deployment script, what did you name that namespace in that environment variable?
In the
So
deployment
in
script.
the script,
Okay.
yeah, our deployment script, go up to where we set the values for the environment variables.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's the same name, right?
Mhm.
All right. All right. So just you still have your cluster and everything. Can you show me your cluster and your node? Let's make sure everything is there and everything is healthy. A sincere convo, you don't have to. I think you asked a question. Do you need SAT before you join? No, you don't need any SAT to join the bootcamp. You can join anytime you want. It's actually for beginners, so you really don't need any SATs at all. And I always recommend that you take the SAT after you've done the project and you understand a little bit more. So no, you don't need any SATs. All right. Okay. Okay. So that's good. Go to your compute. So your node is good. Yeah. It shows you have 17 pods, right? Can you scroll down? I don't see your deployment thing there. Can
Yeah.
you make it like a full screen so I can see your everything better? I think I'm not seeing what is on the left side here, on the right side of your screen.
Okay, sorry. Oh, is it better?
So is that all your deployments? Is that all your pods showing on one page? Or is it me? Let me remove this.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you see how your screen is cut off? It's cut off. I can't see what's on the right side. Okay, there. So you see you have page 2. Let's see. Okay, it's not there. All right.
Yeah.
Let's just delete everything in your infrastructure and we would so what have you run so far? So you can go back to your where you were running it. What have you run so far?
So all of these commands here in this deployment script, I ran everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like I was doing it over and again, right? I ran everything before, blah, blah, blah. But then I wouldn't see the stock in the cloud formation. And then when I run this right here, it would say, oh, what you call this thing? It would give error message. I try to troubleshoot it, go to PowerShell and stuff. And then it says like I could kind of override. And then I came here. But now when I run this last two commands like this one, I wouldn't see the uh the deployment, stuff here that will show up in the ports. So
All right. So yeah, so the file that I gave you, that's the file you should run. So let me just review everything. Hold on, let me open mine so we can review it together. All right, so can you please open your deployment file? I just want to review it. Close the terminal for now, please.
Oh, this one?
No, the terminal, the one you have at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one too. You have a lot of terminal open. So yeah, keep doing that. No, don't do it that way. Keep doing that. Just keep pressing it. Because if you close it the other way, you will just about to close it. Whatever terminal you open is still going to be there. So that's why you have so much terminal open. So that's the proper way to kill it. All right. No, scroll up and just yeah. So just leave it like that. I'm just reviewing it. So your next deployment, doc, nest, EKS, namespace, nest app, service account, inline, nest app service provider. Then you have your container stuff, inline. Okay. What about your service provider class file? Okay, you have that. Service class. So you have your namespace there again, doc, EKS, dev. So you have your doc, nest, EKS. Okay. What about your service file? Okay. So we also have our namespace in the service file. So doc, nest. The only thing is you have to nest EKS. All right, cool. It looks like you have it. So let's do this. We are going to try to delete. So another thing is go into CloudFormation. I think that's what's going on. So you guys are, I think I had the same issue in the video when I was telling you guys. When you guys create the namespace, it is using CloudFormation to create it, right? So if you've run it before, you have to go to CloudFormation and delete whatever CloudFormation created, because by running it here, I don't think it deletes it. By deleting everything else, you don't delete it in CloudFormation. So you can see it there, right? You can see you have some fail stuff there. Service account, you can see that right there is failing, right? So just delete all that stuff,
All three of them or just this one?
all three.
Okay.
All right. Then you can let me find this delete thing for you.
Hello, Aziz.
Yes, I'm here.
Uh, I have a question.
Sure.
Uh, what is event-driven architecture? Are we going to uh, do a project on event-driven architecture?
But now I'm not sure I understand what you mean, event-driven architecture.
Uh, Event-driven architecture. I
So it's
just
like you're talking about like some type of monitoring type of
no,
thing?
no.
No.
And my another question is is according to monitoring and logging,
No,
alerting.
we're not doing any project on monitoring and logging. So that's like if you wanna, that's the thing. So I'm just trying to like show you guys, teach you guys some of the more important things that you guys need to build your skills, right? So you guys have to take what you've learned from here and now make it your own, run with it, do other projects using what you already learned. Because if I have time and if there's time to do any new projects, sure, I can do it. But for the main thing that I have to teach you guys, for you guys to help you learn the skill, I usually don't include like logging and thing in there. But when we do the Terraform, no, when we do the Python project, it is some type of event-driven. Actually, it's actually an event-driven project.
Serverless
So
mindset.
yeah, so we'll use Lambda function to terminate some EC2 instance if some security groups is open to the world, things like that. So that's kind of like an event-driven thing. So maybe when we do that, you can use that as that. Okay. All right. So Mr. Wright, delete. You haven't run the service file, right?
No,
You're,
I ran everything though.
you run everything. Okay. So delete here. I'm going to paste it in the chat. So you need to run this command to delete first delete the service, then run the next one to delete your deployment. Then run the next one to delete your service provider. And then we can try to, okay. Right. Did you paste the second one?
I'm running it now.
Oh, it's done. Okay. All right, good. And do the third one too. All right, perfect. So run Kubernetes get pods, verify load balancer. Okay. All right. So I think we're done. So let's review your pods, your nodes for now, and see that all those things are gone. All right, yeah, go back to your cluster, compute, scroll down, refresh, let's see. Yeah, scroll down. Yeah, I think it's good. All right. So now run your script again. So first start at the top. All right, make sure go to your deployment script. So start at the top. So make sure all those values are correct. So okay, I mean it looks correct to me, but just make sure the main thing is your secrets manager policy, your namespace, service account, and namespace. Right. So run those environment variables. All right. So when you run them, don't clear the screen after that, so that way we can keep track of it. So now run run those ones one by one. All right. Okay.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah, no, it's
let's
right.
see. Yeah.
Okay. All right, run this one. Perfect. All right. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Create namespace.
And this one.
Yeah, that's the next one you're running, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So it's saying doc nest already exists. Let's just delete it. So let me look for the command to delete namespace for you because I don't know what that namespace is connected to. So let's just a second, let me look it up real quick. It's probably could something delete. So
Mhm.
command. To delete no space in Kubernetes. So it's kubectl delete namespace. So type kubectl delete namespace and the name of the namespace. Kubectl delete namespace.
.NET.
Just namespace. Delete namespace. Space namespace.
Okay.
Then type your namespace the same way it is. The dollar sign.
Double quote.
No, just dollar sign. Just do that because you already set it as environment variable and it's saying it's available. So you can type it as that. And no.
Nope.
Dollar sign namespace. Because you
Oh, okay.
use the environment variable instead with capital.
The namespace with capital.
Yeah, because that's how you
Oh,
set the environment variable.
okay.
You see the previous one, you type how namespace is spelled up there. You
Yeah.
just type it exactly like that, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, perfect. So now run that command again. Wait till your terminal is available. Okay, now run the create namespace again. Because I think your namespace was created before and it was probably set to something else. That's why that is not working. I pasted there. Perfect. Now run the next one. Okay. Now run the next one. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Now run the next one. Okay. Right, it already exists. That's fine. Now run the next one. Perfect. Now run the next one. Yeah. Error installation Kubernetes cluster. So it's saying, why is it saying your Kubernetes cluster is unreachable? Try it again. So just press up on your thing and you.
Where's run this command again? Okay. So cannot reuse a name that is still in use.
Okay. I mean, let's just move on. Now run the next one. I don't know why. Okay, maybe you already had one from before. That's fine. Now run the next one. Okay, perfect. Now run this one. Okay. All right. Create the name service account. Enter. Press enter. So you guys remember anytime you run the service account, that is creating something in CloudFormation. CloudForm is using CloudFormation to create the service account. So at the end of the project, you guys have to go to CloudFormation and delete that stack as well. So that way it will be able, you can use it again for your next project. So let's just wait for this to be done, then we'll move on.
So you see, this where the problem was. Right here where it says metadata of the service account overriding was set to 0. No tax was there. And then it would fill here. But now it says one tax, but then I see it still giving this message here. This
All right, go to service account. Can I see your deployment file again? Don't close your terminal, just show your deployment file. And now scroll down. I'll see where you are. Okay. Just a second, leave it there. So darkness, EKS, service account. Okay, so IAM, so error. So one error occurred and IAM roster hasn't been created properly. You may wish to check. Okay, let's just check the CloudFormation. So go to CloudFormation. It's seems like it's failing in your CloudFormation, so you have to see why it is failing. So you see it's failing there. Select that stack. Yeah. So select the Events tab. Yeah, can you just scroll down? Okay. So you see with this, the one where it's failing, you gotta scroll to the right side of your screen so I can see. Is there something, there should be something on the right side, right?
It's
So it will tell you why it is failing. So keep scrolling down, scroll down, scroll down, keep scrolling down. Right here. So this is probably the one that then scroll to, can you close that CloudFormation, that thing that's saying CloudFormation, just close that tab on the right
here.
side. No. On the where you are now, but where it says CloudFormation, the menu on the left side, just close. Click that arrow to close it. Not that one. Under it. Yeah, that arrow. There you go. You see the message on the right side of your screen over there. You gotta scroll to the right side of your screen. I'm not sure how.
I mean, it's not, I don't know.
So press the left arrow on your thing. Sometimes when you press the left arrow, it will let you go to the right side. Or if you scroll to the, well, that's where the message is. That's where you know why it's failing. There you go.
I got it.
All right. So you can see here, resource handler message policy. I am through secret manager access policy does not exist or is not attachable, right? So secret manager access policy, right? So copy the IAM, blah, blah, blah. So you can see your secrets manager access policy, copy that name, where it says secrets manager access policy, copy that name.
This one.
See, it's with the secrets manager up there. It starts from secrets manager access policy.
Oh, okay, here.
Yeah. So you have to start on the S. Then you can copy it down. Copy it. Let's go to your IAM role. IAM, don't just open a new one. Yeah. Go to IAM. Select policies.
Policies.
And paste that name you copied there. So you can see you don't have that policy that you are trying to update. So remove, so what you can do is, I think you created, you probably name it something. So no, don't delete it from the X, just remove, just start to backspace on that. You probably called it something else. Just keep backspacing and we'll see what will pop up. See, this is what you called it, right?
Okay, so this is what's supposed to be in the secrets file, the secrets YAML.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll copy this and go paste it here. No, in the deployment.
No, not that one.
And this one.
I think is in your deployment file itself, your deployment script. I think that's where we.
Okay.
So where we set the environment variable, right?
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. Okay. So first, go back to the management console. Let's review that secret and make sure that it is the just click the plus under it. Okay, get secret. Oh, okay, perfect. So now all you have to do is run that. Go back to your deployment script. First, in CloudFormation, delete that stack. Delete that stack that was being created. Okay. So now go to your script, run that environment variable again. Just that one. No, just the one for the
What's it?
request manager. Yeah. Or you can run everything again, it's still gonna be the same thing. But I'll just say just run that one. Run just that one. All right, now go and run your service account, whichever one. No, scroll down. Now go and run your, no, you're still in the deployment script, but just go and run the last command, the one you run that was failing. This one.
Is this one?
Mm-hmm. There you go. So now you can run the rest. So I think we are not running that one. Don't run that one. Because maybe you can. Do you have a hot config file? Yeah, you can run it. Let's run it. Let's see what we get. Because you did update your IAM thing in the cluster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, just run it. All right. So you can run the rest.
So one is ready here. Okay.
Okay, the load balancer is there. Press up twice, the up arrow key twice on your keyboard. Press again. Okay, and press enter there. Okay, that's what I want to see because it was saying 0, 1. So now go and check your cluster.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's your cloud formation. So go to your Kubernetes
Um,
cluster. So just refresh in here.
Yeah.
All right, so you can see your deployment is there. So and is running, so everything is clean.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah. So that's pretty much it.
So from here, I could just connect it now to Route 53.
Yeah, so you can just continue with the rest of the project, but it seems like your deployment worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. All right, Azeez, please. First project. I didn't send any Google link for project 6. I'll send one if I create anything, I'll send it this week. Yeah, I didn't send it yet. I didn't send anything for project 6. Because it was just yeah, I didn't send anything yet. But if I do send something this week, you guys will get it. All right. Thank you guys. We're pretty much done for today. And I would see you guys next week. So please work on your Terraform, practice your Terraform project. And if you, once you're done with Terraform, practice the Terraform module. Because really that's one of the most important things. You have to just know how to use Terraform. And if you have any questions, ask questions. That's why we are here. Ask as many questions as you want. So, but anyway, thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. And for those of you guys that email me, I'll respond to you guys this weekend. I promise. Have a good weekend. Bye, guys. All right. Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bless one.
All right. Bye. All right. On YouTube. Bye. I'll see you guys next week.